In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use these L brackets to create shelves in hidden areas like above your garage door rails or along the wall. These shelves are extremely simple and easy to install. They create tons of storage space in otherwise unused areas of wasted space. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I freed up a crazy amount of floor space by creating a perimeter of shelves around my entire garage. This shelf is super basic. All you need is a piece of wood, some L brackets here, and some screws to hold the L brackets in. When you're picking your L brackets and your piece of wood out, you want to make sure that the piece of wood is close to the same size as the bracket itself. It can overhang a little bit, but you don't want it to overhang too much. Now, as far as the garage rails on the other side of my garage, I could have used these L brackets as well in order to install the shelf above them, but instead I use these track shelving brackets. And this is a 20-inch bracket, and it just drops right into the Shelftrack bracket here, and it holds your shelf up. Now, I was able to use this because I had room to fit a 24-inch deep shelf in between the wall and the rail. But on this side, I can barely fit a 16-inch shelf, so I'm going to use the L brackets here. Now, if you want to see the other shelves in the video of how I installed them above my garage door to free up all this wasted space, and as well as a big shelf on the other side, check out my video on how to install Shelftrack brackets. They can hold a ton more weight and are really awesome shelves. Now, the main differences between these brackets are the price of each bracket, how deep of a shelf you can have on each type bracket, and how much weight each shelf can hold. Now, as far as the L brackets go, they are the cheapest. They can have about a 16-inch deep shelf, and according to the website, each bracket can hold 50 pounds or 100 pounds per pair when spaced 16 inches apart. So that means on an 8-foot shelf, we should be able to get about 300 pounds of evenly distributed weight on these L brackets. Now, these Shelftrack bracket setups are a little bit more expensive, but they can hold a lot more weight. According to the website, it goes by linear feet, and it says that when spaced 24 inches apart, these can hold 50 pounds per linear foot. I'm putting mine on every stud, which is 16 inches apart. So that means I should get about 62.5 pounds per linear foot, which would give me 500 pounds evenly distributed weight over an 8-foot shelf. To maximize your weight load for the shelf, you want to make sure each one of these brackets is secured into a stud. Now, I know for finished garages, if you're putting this on the outside of the drywall, they make different drywall anchors and toggles that claim to hold a lot of weight. You might be able to get away with that, but I think the best option is to always be secured into a stud, especially with garage applications, and you're always going to be putting more weight than you think you are. And as far as these go, I would put a bracket on every single stud, because once you start spreading it out, you really start limiting what the shelf can hold. The first step of installing this shelf is to figure out your shelf bracket height. Since I know that this is going to be the lowest point that I can go here, I'm going to use this to mark my bracket height. I'm going to measure off of the ceiling, and once I get this measurement, I'm going to duplicate that measurement on each stud so I know exactly where I want to put each bracket. Now, if you're doing this on a finished wall, you're going to have to mark out the studs first so you know where you're going to put each bracket. When I'm installing these brackets, I usually put the first screw in the bottom hole. That way I can adjust it from side to side with a level on top of it before I put in the second screw to make sure it's level. Once the second screw is in and it's level, I can easily put the third screw in and then just repeat the process on the rest of the brackets. So we're just going to measure and mark each stud as we go, leveling each bracket, then securing each bracket into a stud. I have plywood over my windows for multiple reasons. It helps with things like privacy, noise, temperature, and gives me a spot to securely mount my brackets. I space them 16 inches apart to match the stud spacing. Once all our brackets are installed, we're going to take the sheet of plywood and put it on top of the brackets. We're going to fasten it through the bottom of the bracket using 1 5/8 drywall screws. When I screwed the brackets to the shelves, I didn't use all 3 holes on each bracket. That seemed like overkill. So I put the normal single screw in the front, and then I just used 1 screw in the back for each bracket. Once the plywood's screwed on, you can take a pair of lines and pliers and rock back and forth on each drywall screw until it snaps off. If it doesn't snap off all the way at the bottom of the board, you might need to hit it with a grinder to get it smooth and flush. Once all the screws are grinded down, it's ready for the boxes. I just have to make sure the boxes don't cover my temporary light.